Okay, so far we've binded keys on the keyboard so we can move the craft left and right, but we've also created a binding using the spacebar to fire the projectile. We've also created the projectile as another blueprint, so we need a way to spawn the projectile into the game when we press the spacebar, and we're going to do that inside the level blueprint. It could have also been put inside the player craft, and you might want to consider doing that at a later date, but for now we'll leave it in the level blueprint. Okay, so let's go to level blueprint and I'll just show you the script. Okay, so we're inside the level blueprint, and obviously you can zoom out with your mouse scroll and that will reveal all the bits and pieces that are in there. So that's why it's important to actually add a comment around the work that you're working on so you know what it is if you come back to it. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is you need to create an event which is linked to your binding. Now to do that, dead easy, if you right click and just type in fire, you'll notice that it's found the fire input bounding that you created previously. So you just select that and that will be created. Now that's the same one there, so I can delete that. Now as soon as we release the spacebar, not when we press but when we release it, so you press down and then you release, we want to play a sound of the laser being fired or whatever sound the projectile makes that comes out there. We can actually we can listen to that, see what that sounds like. So we go to audio and I've got one set up. So as soon as we do that, that will fire. Now this is where we need to access the player craft, because we want to fire or spawn the projectile from a certain point on the craft. If we just use the craft itself, it would spawn it in the middle of the craft. Now remember, the craft isn't a character, it's a pawn, so it needs to know what it is. So make sure you use the get player pawn and connect it to the object in the cast to player craft BP. Okay, now you notice that I'm accessing a thing called fire point. So if we go back to the blueprint of the craft, and there we go, open that up, and I go to viewpoint. If I just go to the right view and just toggle it, you can see that the craft has got a flip book for the animation, it's got the collider, but also created a scene component. Now to create a scene component, it's dead easy, just drop that down, type in scene, and you'll see scene component. Okay, and I've also, once it's been created, I've called it fire point or fire underscore point. Have you noticed that it's a child of the flip book? And then I can position it. And if we look in a perspective view of this, you can see that this arbitrary point is just above the craft, and this is the position of where the projectile will be spawned. So that's inside the craft, so you need to make sure that's in position. So let's go back to the level blueprint. When we drag out from the player craft BP, you can actually look for fire point, and you can see it's already found it. So we can get fire point. So we've got fire point, and we need to find its world location. So that's dead easy. So right click from there and go world location. You can see get world location. Now when we get world location, you'll notice that it's in an orange. That's a vector. So they're the three coordinates x, y, and z together. If you right click on that and you split the strut or split the pin, it will give you the three values. So all we do now is we create a new node. Now this is important because this spawns the actor. It's called spawn actor of class. So right click, type in spawn actor, and you can see there spawn actor from class. Okay, and all you need to do, you need to select the actor, which is obviously it's called projectile, and you can see it there, projectile underscore BP. Okay, so obviously I'm just showing you what you will create here. Have you noticed that the X, Y, and Z are exposed here? All you need to do in the spawn transform, right click and split, and then it opens up position, rotation, and scale. Well, we're not going to change rotation or scale. We're interested in the transform. So if you right click on that and split that, then it gives you the X, Y, and Z, and we just connect those up to there. So we work through that. As soon as you press or you release the spacebar, it plays the sound of the projectile being fired. It casts to the player craft and finds the position of the fire point, and then from the fire point it spawns the projectile. Okay, now we don't need to worry about the projectile because the projectile's already got all the function already inside it, what we did previously. So that will spawn and then it'll start to move straight away. So let's just have a look at that. So we click on play. And we've still got the movement. Ignore the text at the bottom, that's me what I've been working on myself. But we're just going to try out the spawning. So as soon as I press and release the speaker, we get the projectile being fired, and I can move and fire as many times as I like. We notice it's spawning it from the tip of the spaceship. Okay, so that's how we spawn the projectiles.